organization, man, it's got strong potential, you know, strong potential. Check it out sometime, all right? Because if you want to do this, I want to do this.
I'd like to know why I can't activate my own fucking organization, dude. Way to go, Grand Theft Auto.
I'd love it for walking around and just
I'd love it if I could just start spawning in random ass fucking places. I mean, I literally have my fucking apartment as my place. Great, can't wait. Going back to a map we've already been to before because, you know, fuck creativity. Why does this keep happening every single fucking time, dude? You gotta be fucking kidding me. Oh my god. I've only had to do this 7 times now? Let's do it fucking 8 times. It's gotta be on the 8th time, right? Fucking retarded ass game, bro. Can't even fucking spell. 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. Dude, that's not even what I typed. What are you some fucking music, bro? Because I'm not in the fucking mood for Rockstar's level of autism. Like, it fucking gives me a fucking headache.
Makes noise for Paul Cyphers, everybody. 60 seconds.
I like to take Adderall, but I don't have health care, so I have to buy it off of drug dealers. I got some a few weeks ago. I brought it home. I was like, damn, this is some good shit. And then 3 days later, I was like, damn, this is some crystal meth. That's what this is. This has been the worst year of my life. I'm glad it's ending. It started off pretty rough. Last year on New Year's Eve, I got hit by the same drunk driver 2 times. Kind of tired. This morning, I saved a woman from a train. I pushed her out of the way and let all those guys fuck me instead. So.
How long you been on stand-up?
5 or 6 years now.
All of it in Austin?
No, I moved here 3 years ago from Worcester, Massachusetts.
Paul, tell us something interesting about your childhood.
My brothers played football for a long time, and I just cried so many times my family told me I shouldn't go back anymore, so.
Do you cry now?
Well, my girlfriend just moved all of our stuff out of her apartment and left me a week ago, so.
chair out enough.
Do you think you could cry for us if we helped?
Was there a song in particular that she loved or that she would play a lot?
Everlong by Foo Fighters. That would make
what-
me. Just the lyrics of the song, you know, they're just, it's just a sad song in general, I guess.
Can we get a spotlight on Paul?
I'll play it too if you want.
Keep fucking playing it, don't stop. Now let's go through. Just look out there. Look at the
want me to
big
sing?
camera. Wait, are you trying to sing? Is that
No,
what
I mean, I can try. I'm not good at it.
Yeah, go sing.
I've waited here for you.
She might see this.
ever long. Red out of her head, she sang.
You packed your bags, but I'm in love with you.
And I wonder.
Stop.
You know, except pregnancies. You guys are like, no, sir, those aren't in season. No, no, sir. But then you remember he goes to school in America, so you're like, oh, he's got plenty of time. He's got plenty of time to be aborted. Thank you.
You've been on the show before, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And remind us, what are you again? What's your ethnicity? What are you?
100% Italian. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Always.
Seriously.
I'm an Indian guy. I just got out of the military, and so I'm kind of figuring out what to do.
What'd you do in the military?
I was in the Coast Guard, worked on ships,
What'd you do on the ships?
just like navigation stuff, worked in public affairs. I gotta be honest, last time I was on here, I said I was in the military, but I didn't say that I did get kicked out of the military. I got kicked out.
You got kicked out?
I got kicked out, yeah.
Wow. The rare Indian misbehavior. An anomaly.
I'm trying to change the image of Indians. We're bad boys. We're
What
bad boys.
exactly does an Indian do to get kicked out of the military?
I had a puff of marijuana. Yeah.
You had a puff of marijuana?
I had a little bit of marijuana.
More than a puff.
More than a puff.
What do your parents do for work?
My dad does like education consulting, and my mom doesn't do anything.
The way you said education, I could hear you're Indian for the first time.
Oh, you want
throughout
me
your-
to
Did you
turn
guys
it up a
notice that?
notch? You want me to?
Yes,
You guys
I
are so
do,
fucking
actually.
racist. I knew it was gonna get a laugh if I did that. It was
Of course,
fucking-
yeah, it's funny.
You
So
buried the
fucking-
lead, my friend.
Yeah.
So fucking stupid.
Yeah. Oh, my dad, he works in education. That's what I heard. That's what it sounded like. It was a real switch.
Abortion sounds funnier with that accent.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they got an abortion.
Like we went to. Yeah. It's pretty good, yeah.
Right? See, it's good. What's the most Indian thing about your Indian father? Does he do
don't
something
know, dude.
super Indian?
I don't know. My dad came here when he was like 18, and became
You
very.
ever walk in and he's
mechanized.
like floating in the living room on
That'd
a
be
carpet,
crazy.
like meditating or something? You're like, Dad, how do you do that?
That'd be sick.
One day you will have these powers.
That's great.
Watch, it's gonna be like, I'm not gonna know. It's gonna be Indian Heritage Month or something like that. I'm like, oh God, here we go.
I got
So you
fucking
got kicked out of the Coast Guard, but was it just for weed or did you
just weed, honestly.
steal
Yeah.
a missile?
I'm a good guy.
Right.
I love America.
Okay, you're starting to sound like a terrorist.
Out into the desert. Like
All
I
right.
said, we need to
Michael
borrow some
White,
equipment from
everybody.
this
Michael
festival
White.
Ritual
I live
sacrifice.
2
I don't know
hours
if
away
these
from
guys
Mexico,
are dorks,
so
DJs,
my
or
white
doomsday
privilege
preppers.
doesn't
Probably all of
activate
the
until
above.
I
But
enter
they've got a
Hayes
killer
County.
speaker system,
And
and it's on
there's
wheels.
not a lot
The crew
of
is
black
having a bit
people
of
in
a
my city for the
festival
police to
wind-down
harass.
party.
So
get
I'm
over
like
there and
the
get the system,
substitute
and maybe
teacher.
try not to kill anyone. I've got enough angst
I
as
lived
it
in the
is.
streets for 5 years because my stepdad didn't like me. Wigger oppression is real. I got my first car when I was 21. So after sleeping at bus stops and couch hopping in the projects for 4 years, I was able to live in my car until I got my own apartment. When I didn't have a car or when my car isn't working, I run errands on foot. If they've been looking for that dude since I was 16 years old.
Hell yeah, this is like your 8 Mile right now, dude. So let's just jump right into it. What the fuck? I have so much, by the way. I literally am so excited about this. I don't even know where to begin. Like, do you know what you're dressed like right now?
Oh yeah, laundry day. I had to wear your mama muscle shirt. Strong ass bitch.
I love you. Have you done stand-up comedy before?
I've been a performer since I was 13 as a musician and a battle rapper, but I've always been funny in my raps.
So how often have you tried stand-up then?
I just started like a year and a half ago. That's when I started doing it.
And you're doing a lot of it in Corpus Christi.
Yeah, and I upload it to my TikTok and shit. I'm one of those type of comedians. I don't go to open mics and repeat the same shit every week. I record it, upload it, and then I come up with a new one, upload it. You
So
know.
you just have a ton of really bad shit. You have a ton of shitty
So this
content.
was new? Now, is this your look, if I could ask? Is this kind of your style?
I
Or
mean,
is this just for tonight?
look around. Does anybody else look like me?
No, it is a completely
Okay, this is my
original
style. Yeah, I claim it.
Yeah.
So Drake can't steal this shit.
look. You think Drake has been stealing some of your swagger or style?
Oh man, he put hair clips on his head. Man, I used to put hair clips on my fucking hair. Now I can't do it no more.
You can't, because Drake did it.
Yeah.
Say you swallow a lot of pride, right? You swallow a lot of pride. You swallow pride?
Oh shit, the manic episode is beginning right in front of us. This is crazy. What do you do for work?
All right, so I'm one of the most known artists in my city. So I used my rap fame to start a spaghetti delivering service out of my kitchen. My ex-girlfriend from Italy taught me how to make the best spaghetti. You know what I'm saying? She taught me
That's
how to
his
make the
opener.
best.
He needs that to be the opener.
Like a delivery app?
I'm the spaghetti plug in my city. Nah, Facebook is the app.
When you need some money, are you joking or are you serious? You make a bunch of spaghetti and people pay you for it around Corpus Christi?
Yeah. Hey man, we love
I almost
food.
made it through that whole thing without
We love
laughing.
food in Corpus.
Gives him a CD and a bowl of spaghetti.
We love food in Corpus.
Out of his trunk that he sleeps
So
in.
you know how easy it is to sell food in Corpus? Everybody sells food.
Tell us about it. How much spaghetti are we talking about? You sell it in what kind of containers are you putting?
My quota is 14 plates in a night,
So how do you?
which is $10 a plate, $5 a gas.
Well,
Money.
stick with me over here, Michael. Over here, Michael over here. Stick with me here, okay? What do you put the spaghetti on when you deliver it to me? Is it a plate with tin foil?
No.
Is it a Gladlock container?
To-go boxes.
Oh, like styrofoam folding to-go boxes.
Yeah.
So you invested in the styrofoam boxes.
Yeah.
So most you do is 14, or the minimum you do is 14?
I do about 14. That's what I do.
But you could do more.
It's kind of
know
like
the word.
You know, because my re-up costs like $55
It's like
to
one
do.
of my favorite interviews
So
ever
it's like-
for some reason.
You making more money than selling a 50-pack of Coke. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay, hold on. This was my next question. How much are you selling each container of spaghetti for?
it's $10 each, and then $5 for the gas fee.
So you make $140 a night, working very hard, making and delivering this spaghetti.
I get-
And meanwhile, you were talking about it like you're cooking Coke, like you're Scarface. Like,
It's
I'm out
like
here making all the money.
The re-up is $55, so the rest is profit.
That's not Amore by Dean Martin. Welcome. Hey, come on in. It's Michael White. Who wants some fucking spaghetti? Come on. He's one of the nicest guys. He'd give you the wife beater off his head. And you give us an example of how you make it.
Well, my ex from Italy, she taught me how to make it.
I know, but what do you remember?
Man, I'm not finna tell the whole world my recipe.
Leave a couple key ingredients out. Give us the backbone of your sauce.
I don't know how to do that without snitching on myself. That's like,
Come on, dude. It's fucking tomato sauce. Go ahead. Give us a little. Just start rattling off your quantity.
well, I mean, I use.
No one's here to steal your spaghetti recipe.
I mean, well, okay. Well, the basics is tomato sauce, hamburger meat,
Hold on. Hamburger.
and then the rest is me making it live.
I'm gonna fucking die.
Hey,
dude.
wait, why'd
So
your,
basically,
why'd your
tomato
ex
sauce
leave you?
and
Why
hamburger
would she
meat.
leave you? Why would your fucking ex leave a guy making spaghetti?
Man, no, I left.
Is she a waitress?
Nah, I left her, man. She was crazy.
Fuck. Yeah, man.
I got 2 scars on my face because of her. Yeah.
What
I'm
did
not-
she do? She forked you?
Man,
Making spaghetti?
You know how women are, man. They don't know how to lose a conversation.
What did she do to your face?
Man, she was. Whenever we be talking, and if I happen to be winning, just nails come out of nowhere.
But I do want to hear some of this rapping before you leave. What kind of...
All right, getting ready to hit the club with my partner so they can get their drink on. And I'm the designated driver, so I gotta get my thing on. I ain't even tripping though. I don't even be drinking, bro. I just love spitting flows, making money and hitting. I'm a sober motherfucker, but I be acting like I'm on it. Got my ADHD on full speed, supersonic. Hand me an sweet tea so I can add my own sugar. Go live in the paint, bouncing off the wall like a Ruger. Full of ricochet like TMC. Hold up, man. Everybody in the club thinking I'm on EXO, but it's just me. I'm from the street. I'm naturally ghetto. But baby, come on and have me taking Ritalin since I was 5. Till I'm old enough to not taking them on. Now I'm allowed to be 5. Now I'm allowed to go live and live in my childhood one more time. Like, wait. I'm gonna put it down like a millionaire. Like Young Thug. I don't smoke a drink, but I don't be knocking people that do. I'm just saying, wee.
Wow. It was actually fucking pretty goddamn interesting.
But I want to be a stand-up comedian, so.
No, it's not gonna work out, buddy, but.
We have very low standards here on Kill Tony.
That turned around, man. That turned around.
Literally, the people that walk the line of absolute... Anything can happen.
But the recipe, not bad. It's simple.
It's basically sauce, hamburger meat, and magic. Cam Patterson.
Chen, everybody.
The one gift that always irked me was something like the gift of life, because the person who mentions it usually follows it up with like what you owe them. Like, you know, when you go to church, they talk about the gift of life. When you go visit your mom, she's like, I gave you the gift of life, so you owe me. But the thing with these kind of gifts is like, I didn't ask for it, I'm just given it. And by the time I'm already here, it's already too late. So, I don't know. And
You are a, are you an Asian woman? What's going on here exactly? I don't know exactly. I don't know what they are right now. Are you okay? Is this your 1st time doing stand-up?
No, I actually, well, first time doing stand-up, but this is not my first mic.
Right.
Yes, and about the previous question, I'm actually trans, but the thing is, I'm not like one of those that force people to call me like pronouns, because I think that's just wrong.
Which direction are you going in, trans? I don't even know where you started and where you're going. I don't know if that's a rude question. Quite honestly, this is Kill Tony, and I can say whatever I want, so I have no regrets here. But I'm really, I really have no idea. It could go either way right now.
The pronoun now would be a crapshoot, right?
I'm actually going for male to female.
Okay, male to female. Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. It's stunning. No, it's great.
Oh, you're very pretty.
It is. It's amazing.
Well, you're on the
Absolutely.
right track.
Red Band is 2 shots of tequila away from fucking the shit out.
I mean, the beer goggles are really helping around this scene, actually.
I love it. So, Chen, that's great. This is all good to find out. I love it. So when did you realize that you were a woman, or feel like you were a woman? When did that start? How old are you?
Right now, I'm 32, actually.
32. So when does it start for you?
I'm okay with being a boy, but don't want to be a man. And
you're okay with being a boy, but you don't want to be a man.
Yes.
Right.
Are you sure you're on the right track?
Well, and also, I don't have the desire to dominate things either. In fact, I'm actually submissive, but that's another topic.
Ooh, Red Band. Look how excited Red Band is. Submissive.
And also like cute and soft things.
You like what?
I like cute and soft things too. So.
Okay.
I'm right here.
Oh yeah.
And I think we're all about as soft as it gets right now.
And personally, you're close enough.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me.
So what are we at here? You thinking about turning your egg roll into a rice bowl? What's going on here? What are we talking about? Let's get into
Well, look. The first time I came to Kill Tony was when I was September 4th, actually.
this year.
Of this year, yes.
You were on the show.
No, I was in the.
Oh, I was gonna say your transition's going really well because I do not remember you at all. September 4th, you were in the audience.
Yes, and it captivated me, and I'm here for the violence. So don't go easy on me.
Okay. Okay. Now you're wearing a Dungeons and Dragons hoodie. So let's just jump right into that. Are you a pro player?
All right. Actually, no.
Someone's very upset about that. They had very high expectations for your Dungeons and Dragons.
However, I do play Dungeons and Dragons online, and I also play the Boulder
You also play a little Dungeons and Fagons, you know what I mean? Do you also play Magic the Gathering?
Actually, that one I do play.
Yes, wow, we are shocked. Wow, I do believe the crowd goes wild in absolute shock and horror. Nobody saw it coming. You do? Actually, Tony, I do. I love the dramatic pause there. Wow, tell us more, rattle off some more nerd things about you. It's very interesting.
Well, I play World of Warcraft with my friends.
Oh my God, hit it again, hit it again, hit it again. All right, tell us something else. Play most games in expert mode?
No.
Oh, well, actually, I am surprised at that one.
Because
So tell us more about this transitioning adventure. What are some things you do to be more, if you're becoming more ladylike, or some goals for you, or whatever? Are you basically just saying anyone can fuck you at any time in your asshole?
Well, I am bi, so you know. But
How often do you hook up with women? And when you do you consider that like a lesbian relationship? Do you have them like eat out where your balls are? I don't know. These are questions. Welcome to Texas. This is figuring out trans in Texas. So Tony, trans Texas Tony, Triple T.
So actually, I only been with one woman before.
One woman. I like how you use plural there. I don't believe you. I've only been with one woman. Did it identify as multiple women?
No, she was an exchange student.
Oh, look at you. You really are goddamn American. Look at that. You're pounding out an exchange student.
She got her citizenship, and I guess I wasn't as successful as she wanted, so it didn't work out.
That makes sense. So you put your wiener in her pee-pee hole?
No, she's a girl.
Right, but I'm saying you put your penis in her vagina?
Used to, yeah.
Right.
I've already forgotten what direction you're going in.
Right.
Which way's the transition?
You used to, but now you don't. Why don't you? You can't.
I don't think having sex with your ex-wife's vagina is part of the alimony.
So it was your wife?
She was my wife at one point.
This is great. We're like we're figuring out a riddle while doing an interview at the same time. Well, Tony, the reason why I don't put the penis in the vagina is because it's my ex-wife. Oh, look who's back. Famous homophobe, D Madness.
Just in time.
Just in time for your worst nightmare, D. We've been missing your scoffs and earplugs for minutes, and you're gonna love this one, D. Well, let's just say we got a she madness trying to turn into a he madness or some shit like that.
The other way, but yes.
Have you practiced your woman voice yet?
I actually looked into it today. But
Let's hear. How many of you want to hear a little bit of? All right. Here she is, Chen. Everybody. Oh, so hard to be woman. Oh, I'm American and I am Asian. I was doing laundry the other day and I'm like, oh, this is so much fun because I'm a lady. I love being lady. I'm gonna cook spaghetti better than the other guy. I sell lo mein noodle out of my pants.
Let's hear it though. Let's hear what you think.
Come on, let's just try a little bit.
I can't do it.
It doesn't work because it only works.
I was born with a dog. I am a woman. Ladylike. I'm a druid.
No, Tony.
I'm trying to.
But what else? What else is happening? What are some things you do? Or you like? Do you like overly? You like get dressed up as a woman? You have like dresses and stuff?
Not public because I don't want to make people uncomfortable.
You don't
like,
make people
like I'm like a really considerate
Yeah, but you're really pretty. You have a.
Oh my god.
No, he can't be passed out. Not with all them uppers in his system. Get up there and do something. Push some buttons.
Jesus, Dave, there's so many buttons.
Just press one. It's what you do for a living.
I'm a DJ, not a fucking pilot.
Go on, you've got this, my son. Make me proud.
Whoa!
That's not making me very proud.
Oh, okay, don't worry, I'm back.
For crying out loud.
Oh, okay. I got it, I got it.
Whatever you press before.
All right, okay, cool.
Don't press it. Okay.
Proper bad juju, mate. We might be about to lose our DJ. Follow that.
See this, hold on a second, because you just said something really interesting. You just said you're a considerate trans.
Yes.
Right? So are you saying that other trans people are inconsiderate for being so blatant and overly annoying about their stance on everything? You think that they're being inconsiderate? You, with your powerful voice in the absolute field?
Very nice.
Well,
Now you
the way I see it is that until I become passable, I'm not gonna push myself on people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think so many other unpassable people try? I'm here. This is the interview. Idiot meets trans person live.
Now, you know what not to do, okay? Point the stick in
Big
there
roll into
and
a
keep
rice
the
bowl?
sky
No.
up there. The earth down here.
It's something like this. It's actually really hard to be a guy if you think about it, because
I've been saying that my whole life. I've been really struggling with it.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Now you're talking.
because so I know it was hard to be a guy, but I didn't have the words for it until I saw this channel called Home Math on YouTube. It's actually pretty good.
I know, that's more.
Go on.
Home math?
Home Math. Yes, it's good stuff. And he mentioned that so for when and this is almost too simple,
give the
but for
pilot a
guys,
kick, all right? Get out. Bollocks. They've left the city. Get on the freeway. Are there any instructions about a manual? No? How about I find? Search it. I mean, on your phone. I know you're on the phone, but I thought... Don't get shirty with me, my son. I'm not the one about to crash a plane. I'm trying to help. So, be smart now. You sure you want to do that? Flying's one thing, putting it down's another. Solomon? Solomon? Shit in my pocket. The bugger's gonna try and land it. Follow him.
value looks, value like personality, and then maybe share some hobbies, right? But for women, when they look at guys, your ability to provide goes on the nice value, but your ability to be mean but also be dominating goes on the bad boy scale. So,
okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I almost said dude, but I stopped myself. I got so ADHD during your explanation of that I literally started thinking about the song ADHD from the guy that makes spaghetti out of his, what he called industrial size apartment, which I'm pretty sure is a fucking janitor's closet. Bill Rhodes, everybody.
I am actually a teacher, which is kind of fucked up because as a college student, I was absolutely horrible. If you pull up my high school transcripts, you can see that this young lady right here is not the only one with 34 C's in this room. Before I became a teacher, I worked in the prison system for a long time. I was a riot team commander, a captain, And I felt like I needed something more like dangerous, something more exciting in my life. So I started
Let's get to the
teaching
club.
middle school.
Show him his digs.
The more I worked with inmates and students, I realized there's a lot of parallels, right? So constantly I heard
To be honest, Dave, that was pretty
just
intense.
constantly bitching
That's
about
it, big
like
man.
the
What doesn't
cafeteria
kill you,
food,
right?
how horrible
I've
it
never been
was.
in a plane
So you're really a
crash,
middle
I've
school
gone, yeah,
teacher?
but I've had some
Unfortunately,
bad
yes.
trips,
Fuck
man,
yeah.
and I always
Are you one of
find
like
the
those like
spiritual part.
what's that show?
Next time
Like
you
Scared to
hire a
Death or
pilot, see
something
how you
like that?
being in a
Scared
plane
Straight.
crash.
Yeah, Scared Straight.
He
Get your
was
fucking
excited
shit
to
together.
see you.
Constantly.
You may have
What?
overindulged,
Constantly.
is all. You
Okay.
have no effect on people.
I love it. Where are you
get
doing this middle
intimidated.
school teaching at?
Anyway.
In a little big town called Hutto, Texas. I'll probably get fired for saying that. Thank you.
Go Hippos.
There you go.
No,
Where I live.
You know hippos,
You
right?
guys are the hippos?
Yeah, that's
How the
correct.
fuck did you know that?
That's where I live.
Oh.
Yeah, like I literally, I live more in
Right,
Hutto
and
than
also
Hippos.
has 34
You
seats.
live in the home of the hippos?
Yeah.
You're a hippo that has a home in the home of the hippos?
Yep.
This one's the brains.
Don't tell anybody I was here, please.
You must be pretty
I mean, it's on the
Coolest cat
internet.
in town. Genius brain too. Just look at
I
him
love
there,
it.
thinking.
Okay, Bill Rhodes, how long have you been attempting
You
stand-up
guys are
comedy?
getting on swimming, lad.
About 2.5
Let's have some
months.
fun.
Hey, can I
It's
say
going to
one
be
thing?
Yeah,
good. I gotta even
absolutely.
think about this.
Yeah, me too, me
Parallel.
old mucker. Me too.
It's one word, right? Are you an English teacher?
I am a history teacher.
Okay.
Right.
I'm just letting you know, parallel.
Let me tell you where the
You
history
wankers are
of the word
lucky,
parallel
Didn't
comes.
stop brickwork and
It's
chucked
not,
up
wouldn't be
on
math
the
either. We're going down. We're going down a lonely road here. I'm not a gym teacher, Tony. Yeah.
Chuck it.
I love it.
I
Yeah.
feel like most of your students will end up in prison.
And I would be the
So
first
it's a
person
full
to send them
circle.
money for ramen noodles. I
All
love
right.
my kids.
Okay, hold on here, Bill. Let's slow it down. What is your secret double life? Because there's definitely something going on. You have like a leather mask that you wear on weekends or
I'm
something
boring
like
as shit. I'm boring. I have 3 kids that I had custody of for most of my life,
And then what happened?
Recently remarried.
Hold on. Let's just slow it down. You said that you have 3 kids who you had custody of most of your life. You still have custody of them?
I do.
Oh, okay. All right.
Mom had like the internet and did other things.
What do you mean?
She left.
And what did she do?
Left me with 3 kids. I don't care.
Right. You didn't follow up at all?
No, my kids are with me.
Right. Do you know where she is?
She is, I don't know, wherever some guy on the internet was from.
Right. How do you know she left you for some guy on the internet? She told you that?
Kind of.
Right. Tell us more.
When I worked at a prison, I worked long nights all the time, and I came home, and one day she just decided she didn't want to be there anymore. So,
Did she leave a letter or something?
no, she was there.
She told you in person.
Yeah, she was like, I'm out like a fat kid in dodgeball.
She said that?
Yeah, for real.
Were you already a middle school teacher when she said that?
I was a high school teacher at that
And
time.
here we are.
So, how old are your kids?
My youngest is 15. My boys are, so it's my daughter can have 1, that's it. And my boys are 19 and 20.
Wow, 19 and 20. Are they built like accountant beefcakes as well?
My younger son is. He looks like he didn't have a mom, like he fell right out of my ass.
Oh. Okay.
He looks like he didn't have a mom, you said?
Yeah, for real.
He didn't.
There you go.
She left pretty quick.
How did you overcompensate for them not having a mom? Did you do some like Mrs. Doubtfire shit at all?
I bought a Jeep Wrangler.
Okay.
Oh, there you go, Twinkle
No,
Toes.
I
Just
used to take my
down
daughter
here.
to get like pedicures, manicures, stuff like that.
Watch out,
And,
Pete.
What are you into?
I'm coming up on my 4th year of marriage.
Oh,
So,
congrats, you
and-
found a second wife.
I did. And my wife, she had never been married, no kids. So, like, my daughter finally has somebody to not hate in the house.
Interesting.
You keep your new wife off the internet?
Craziest thing you've seen happen as a middle school teacher. Wildest thing that surprised you that you've seen these rabble-rousing.
We've done it. The party. We got the fucking party. We are the fucking party. Excuse me. Have a good time. Enjoy yourself. You deserve
Kids
it.
nowadays up to.
I had a kid for an entire year fake that he had Tourette syndrome, and he would like yell shit out.
Genius! us, that's gonna be the fucking smartest kid you ever taught.
And so I have.
Oh yeah, that's genius.
I have Tourette syndrome. Like I used to have like the little twitches and stuff. So like I fell in love with this kid. I'm like, oh, you know, I'm
Oh
gonna.
my God!
Yeah,
Hold on,
not like
stop,
that.
slow
Not like
down.
that.
What are his ticks?
So his ticks are like, boy, Ann sure has some big titty.
Tony's Fun House! Yeah, Los Santos has finally figured out how to party again. You're gonna join me, DJ Laszlo, in welcoming my very best friend. I discovered him in Ibiza, which is in the Netherlands. The set was amazing. He is starting his first ever residency in the United States in this club. All right? Please, all of you, give it up for the one, the only, Solomon! This guy. Let me know if you want me to MC.
Let me think about it.
Okay, great. He wants me to beatbox. I'm gonna fucking get laid. I'm gonna be down here with the chicks, fucking grinding, bro.
And these are people in the classroom.
I have that tick.
In the classroom.
Oh my God, he's a genius. Are you aware that he's a genius?
I didn't know until after spring break
that
when
is
I
the
called his mom,
smartest
and she was
fucking
like,
prank.
"What Tourette syndrome?"
He would just say things that he wanted to say.
Yeah, and he pretended like it was a medical condition.
And not only did he not get in trouble, but you're like, it's okay. You're all good, buddy. It's okay, Billy.
I'm the dumbass that didn't call mom.
Oh my God. Was he doing it? Did you end up talking with teachers about it, or were you too embarrassed? Were you the only one that fell for it?
I was his advocate. I was like, I have Tourette syndrome too, guys. You have to give him a chance. And he was like, let me suck on them titties.
That's awesome.
Was that you or the student saying that?
I'm honestly jealous of this kid that I didn't think of that when I was in middle school.
I tried to get him. I tried to get him moved to honors.
It really is.
Yeah.
I'm serious. That's a
Smart as
fucking
shit.
sign of intelligence.
How were the titties, though? Be honest.
You're like, okay, suck
They
on
were
the
7th grade.
titty.
I'm not allowed to say.
Right. All right.
Tell me after.
Southwest Airlines is giving free extra seats to fat people who can't fit in a regular seat. If you're so morbidly obese that your fat ass can't fit in a Seagull airline seat, you don't need to be getting on an airplane, you need to be getting on a Stairmaster. With your fat ass. But seriously, you don't need to be getting on an airplane. I'm sure there's a cheesecake factory within driving distance of your house, fat ass. Apparently, Matthew Perry died because he ate too much ketamine. Shit, I ain't ever gonna eat another carrot again. Last week in Ukraine, a man walked into a meeting room with 100 people, pulled the pin on 3 grenades, and rolled them into the crowd, killing everyone. Only person I've seen bomb worse than that is Red Band during his stand-up. He killed 100 people, dumbass! That's a bunch!
The extra seats on an airplane Stairmaster.
Okay, welcome to Club Management for the Internet Banking League.
That's what messed. Honestly, if you're fat, though, don't get on the Stairmaster. That's what destroyed my sciatic nerve.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's why I had to stop working out. I haven't worked out in probably 8 months. I'm starting to get numb in my arm. Who was
This is the upgrades page.
laughing at that? Yeah, no, it's been 8 months. I need to.
Some of the equipment downstairs. Whatever you need to
Good job, dumbass. But I need to start working out again.
Did somebody tell you that not working out would help you with your sciatic nerve?
No, it just was hurting so bad. I mean, I have to sleep on my stomach at night. If I sleep on my back, which my sciatic nerve is hurting, it gives me sleep paralysis. I have to sleep on my tummy at night. I'm laying on my back and I just kind of wake up and something is wrong because I cannot move anything. And I'm just opening up my eyes and I just see this like thing in front of me.
Can you describe the thing?
I can't even really describe what it is. It's literally just a shadow figure. Oh, great job, dumbass. I'm having the fucking set of my life up here right now, man! Holy shit! What I was just saying was about to really take off, dumbass. That's all your fault.
Oh, he's pointing at the lady next to him. The guy, wow, they're all throwing that poor lady under the bus. Good night, everybody!
Solomon is if that's your kind of thing. But more importantly, you can run promotions for the club by hitting, you guessed it, Promote Club. The staff, the DJs, me, we'll all be doing everything we can to run a banging night. But to get the buzz, increase popularity, and bring in cash, we'll need to promote it. Run a job and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay, we're on the first part of reclaiming the empire that I had once on Xbox. I had everything on Xbox, now we gotta get it on PC. And now that we got the nightclub started, it shouldn't be too hard. We just gotta start getting more business. This time I'm not buying a fucking yacht. I'm not buying a yacht. I'm not rebuying bajillions of cars over and over and why am I not able to be a business owner online? Oh, probably because I need an Yo! We should grab a beer or something. Sure.
Oh, hey, buddy. Man, I got so beat.
ain't the size of the gun in the fight, it's the size of the fight. You know what? Fuck that. It's the size of the gun.
Totally important filmmaker, and this country totally needs to have a story like Frank fucking
I need to start getting some monies.
The Titanic. Behind the story of the most legendary ocean liner lies a little-known tale of the adventurous, pioneering men determined to push the limits of the possible.
Hey, have you seen these gas prices?
Their incredible
It's insane.
technical achievement in the
It's like I'm
shipyards
back
of
in
Ireland
1981,
included
only
the
I'm 10
construction of
pounds
not
heavier,
just
and
one,
double denim
but
still
3
won't
ocean
fucking-
liners, the largest in the world at the time.
They really were planning on way larger ships than anybody ever seen.
Imagine being on a mission to Mars or something. That'd be the closest thing we can come to today.
They really thought that they could potentially conquer nature.
Think you know all there is to know about the Titanic? Think again, and watch as we reveal some of the intriguing, overlooked backstory of history's most famous ocean liner. It all started in 1908 at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, with the construction of a massive, revolutionary building framework. For nearly 3 years, 6,000 people dedicated their lives to making the crazy dream of creating these colossal vessels come true.
Building the slipway in the gantry was a massive undertaking.
They need to make these changes because it's simply not possible to build these ships.
The Titanic's epic adventure started with its first rivet. The hull alone took 2 years to build. It sprang from the farsightedness of bold, visionary men and new cutting-edge tools and techniques.
The jaws of this sea clamp would compress these rivets together, perfectly compress them, fill the holes up.
When the Titanic was built, everything was designed and made by hand.
The slightest error could compromise the actual quality, stability, and operation of the ship itself.
The ship's launch was an international event, carrying tremendous risk. The thrilling culmination of a formidable technical challenge with no room for error.
Titanic's size is unprecedented, so they don't really know 100% what may or may not go wrong.
For 60 seconds, they get to see the largest object moving on its own for the first time.
And the saying is, if a ship can survive its launch, it will survive anything.
They don't say that anymore, but while it lasted, the ship was spectacular. Now, through exceptional 3D reconstructions, extraordinary colorized footage, animations based on historical photos, and insights from the world's leading experts on the Titanic, we're about to embark on a tour of the ocean liner of the century. All aboard the Titanic, Genesis of a Giant. Belfast, Northern Ireland. This is where the story of the world's most infamous ship began more than 110 years ago, at a turning point in modern history. In the early 20th century, the world was fascinated by the idea of the American dream. Thousands of people dreamed of trying their luck in a new world full of promise. The only way to reach America was by one of the most dangerous routes known to man, the North Atlantic Ocean.
It's hard for us to imagine this, but outer space was unthinkable in those days. So really, the outer space of that time was the Atlantic Ocean.
The Atlantic Ocean is seen as the end of the world, like there's nothing beyond it. But as immigrants, there's freedom, there's choices.
To get across the Atlantic, you couldn't get in a jet plane. It didn't exist yet. To get across the ocean was the ocean liners.
In this context, with such high demand, the European and American shipbuilding industries were growing quickly. Maritime companies competed with one another to offer the largest, fastest ocean liners on the market.
There was a race for whatever country could create the fastest ship. But at some point, technology just kind of eclipsed the progress of the public utilities.
They really thought that they could potentially conquer nature. Bigger is better. The more people you could fit on a ship, the greater the profit. And so the ambition was virtually unending for size, scale, and speed.
Two British companies dominated the market, White Star and Cunard.
That ain't good.
These two competitors were locked in a fierce battle to beat records and attract as many passengers as possible, wealthy and immigrants alike. In 1907, Cunard introduced two monsters of the ocean, liners whose size, weight, speed, and capacity were unprecedented, the Lusitania and the Mauretania. With these two giants of the sea, the crossing from Southampton to New York took less than 6 days, a new record. This astounding human and technological exploit was a bombshell for their competitor, the White Star Line. Management knew they couldn't beat Cunard's advertised speed of 27 knots, the equivalent of 50 kilometers per hour.
White Star are worried. Lusitania is the fastest ship in the world. It has revolutionary turbine technology. White Star don't think they can compete, so they don't look to speed. Instead, they turn to size, luxury, and safety.
They're going to give you luxury and stability and a lovely calm ship, and they're going to make them the biggest in the world so that you'll feel that you're special when you're traveling on them.
That is why they look to building the Olympic-class ship.
Olympic-class ships. This dizzying, unprecedented project involved the construction of 3 ocean liners 30 meters longer than the Lusitania or the Mauretania, at 270 meters long, 28 meters wide, and 53 meters tall from the keel to the tops of the funnels. All this with a total capacity of 3,500 passengers and crew members, weighing more than 52,000 tons, the equivalent of 180 Airbus A380 planes. These 3 ships would be the longest, heaviest, and largest ever built.
They really were planning on way larger ships than anybody had ever seen. They really were exceptional ocean liners.
This is an absolutely monster project in every way.
Although these steel giants were designed by a British
first 1,000-foot-long ship, they...
She wanted ships going both directions simultaneously for consistency in passenger trade.
Once every week, you could take one of these great liners. It would be in New York once every week. They would just rotate them out.
The construction of these gigantic ocean liners was entrusted to the leading experts of the time, the Harvard and Wolff Shipyard in Belfast, Northern Ireland. For 50 years, these shipbuilding pros had used their imagination to push the limits of technology and make people's wildest dreams come true by building floating palaces that grew more extreme in size each year.
If you didn't work in Harland and Wolff, your nearest relatives did. Everybody knew someone who worked in Harland and Wolff. It is like its own city.
It's like GM in Detroit. Most of the people who live in Detroit work for car manufacturers, while most of the people in Belfast work for Harland and Wolff. That's a lot of people.
It's an odd thing. We
Before they could start work on the project, the experts at Harland and Wolff had to completely rethink their shipyard. They reconfigured their infrastructure to be able to build these juggernauts of the sea.
Who would take it upon themselves. Just getting the shipyard ready was a massive undertaking in itself. They had to build gigantic pieces of infrastructure in order to be able to build the Titanic.
The existing shipyard is modern and it's one of the largest in the world. Nonetheless, they need to make these changes because it's simply not possible to build these ships.
I mean, I have my path and you have yours.
The length of these ships was so extreme that there was no slipway in the world that was large enough. The engineers at Harland and Wolff were forced to destroy 3 existing slipways and replace them with 2 giant new ones. At 260 meters long and 80 meters wide, the size of 3 football fields, they were the largest slipways ever constructed, large enough to build the Titanic and the Olympic side by side.
It is the first time that 2 such large ships are built together in the same shipyard at the same time. This challenge is enormous.
Don't forget the effing cream and sugar.
Dude, my guy looks like an entrepreneur.
The timing of the entire project depended on this first massive undertaking. The Olympic and the Titanic were due to go into service in the summer of 1911 and spring of 1912. Even the smallest mistake could have catastrophic consequences.
Once the shipyard had announced the ship would be ready to go into service on a certain date a few years in the future, they had to stick to that deadline.
Preferably on the back of the same bullet.
The construction of these floating palaces consisted of 3 major phases.
Taking out the whole operation. That's why I came to you. Let's go somewhere a bit more unfrequented. I understand your motivation in these matters. If you raid that factory, anything you find is yours to keep. But this isn't about the drugs for me. This is about these assholes running the biggest protection racket in the state. That's the kind of status quo I cannot abide. As far as my part, I can provide all the intel you need. Records, names, locations. We will need to educate ourselves on the factory, though. Gather materials so you can attack it with style and aptitude.
Ding fucking dong, Officer Effenberger. We're effing falling asleep over here. Get us some effing coffee.
Copy that. I'm on my way. Think about it. If anybody deserves to be fucked with, it's these guys. Can I count you in? Excellent. Now on to the first order of business. Acquire some funds. And fortuitously, we have files on some money laundering operations not far from here. The department allows them to operate for a share of the profits. I suggest we take a more proactive stance. Time to do what you do. I'll call you. Let me take these fucking assholes their coffee.
First, the building of the hull, the most time-consuming step. Second, the launch, a complex step.
Dropping you the location shortly.
And finally, the fitting out of the ship's interior.
So the highest technology that they had, the greatest technology, went into the ocean.
The construction of the 2 vessels required the invention of a revolutionary gantry, capable of lifting large pieces of metal above the 30-meter-high hull.
Not to mention,
the engineers entrusted this task to architect William Arrow with Gustave Eiffel of Britain. The construction of massive ships called for massive tools. The architect designed the largest steel structure in the world.
So William Arrol is the man who's put in charge. He's given the contract, and within a couple of years, he delivers a structure which is unrivaled, so much so that it was used right up until the late 1960s.
An incredible 70 meters tall, this gigantic metal gantry weighing 6,000 tons straddled the slipway where the Titanic and the Olympic were being built. It was composed of a movable central crane and 10 electric cranes on rails, each capable of lifting up to 5 tons.
You have cranes to do the heavy lifting, to lift huge big pieces of steel plate into position. You have lifts so that the workers can get up to the top. You've got all sorts of mechanical ways of getting people and things from place to place.
The Arrow Gantry was like a small city in itself. There were hundreds of people working there every day.
Like a domino effect. One domino, just to get to the point of to be able to start building things.
Take cover!
Spreads fast. These miscreants are expecting you. As we say in the LSPD, just seasonal missing goods.
March 22nd, 1909. Work on the Titanic could finally begin. Nearly 14,000 people were employed at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast. 6,000 of them would end up working on building the ocean liners of the century. By the time construction on the Titanic began, work on the Olympic had been underway for 3 months. In the neighboring slipway, specially designed wooden blocks had been put in place in preparation for building to begin. These blocks would be used to build the first part of the ship, the keel.
The first step in building a ship is to lay the keel. It is a symbolic moment, a bit like laying the first brick on a building.
It's quite literally the backbone of the ship. If you imagine the spine in a skeleton, everything hinges on this particular part. It needs to be absolutely straight, absolutely level. It's imperative to get this correct.
The keel is composed of several laminated steel beams assembled at the bottom of the slipway. These beams formed an immense metallic bar 50 centimeters wide and extending the entire length of the ship.
The keel, this central piece, is really the foundation for the entire boat.
2 months later, a new phase began. One that would determine the solidity and the safety of the ship. The construction of the double bottom. This double layer of metal boxes was against the ship's greatest enemy, flood.
A few decades earlier, they had realized that the ship would float. So in the case of a hole in the hull, there had to be a way to keep water from getting into the rest of the ship, or it would sink.
If anything happened, if you hit a rock, you can simply be towed out of it, you wouldn't sink, go back to the shipyard, they can take the bottom, you'd be fine.
That safety element really defines the Olympic-class project to get these ships as safe as possible and to utilise these newer ideas to ensure the safety of the Titanic.
The construction of this double bottom was quite a challenge. Metallic pieces were assembled using a technique called riveting.
Riveting was the super glue of its day. If it's metal, it's riveted.
When they built the Titanic, such a big ship, they used the same techniques as other smaller ships. But not really sure how it's all going to turn out.
3 million rivets were used to build the Titanic. 1/3 of them were put in place using cutting-edge technology. This enormous machine, a hydraulic riveter.
New technology using giant pieces supported from an overhead crane. There's very fast, very efficient to create a very strong rivet, a very tight bed.
Put this into 3 punch holes, and the big C-clamp, the jaws of this C-clamp would compress these rivets together, perfectly compress them, fill the holes up.
It was very expensive, but it ensured the rivets were fitted in place correctly.
July 1909. 5 months after the construction began, the men started building the body of the ship, putting enormous frames into place. In shipbuilding, these are known as ribs. They provided the support structure for the steel sheets of the Titanic's hull.
It's a full foot in the ass, dog.
Frames, also known as
Toes,
ribs,
baby.
literally like the ribs in the skeleton, they perform the same process. They create the shape of the hull, but also it is, of course, the main structural element, which, of course, everything else links into.
The rib cage of the Titanic was composed of 300 pairs of 20-meter-high ribs. These ribs were a work of art. First, they were meticulously designed by the shipyard's engineers. The next part of the job was entrusted to an army of draftsmen who had to turn the schematics into life-size pieces of metal in this hangar the size of a football field.
All the pieces were designed, calculated, and built in a massive room at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Chalk. In the time of the Titanic, everything was designed and made by hand.
The frames were drawn out, wooden boards were clamped together, were trunked out, and then they're scribed with a special knife. And it's this process where they check the lines plan and make sure that all the lines intersect at full scale properly, so that when they actually create the frames fit together what they're supposed to.
Start killing everybody in your hand. I don't give a fuck, man.
Any distraction could be massive in terms of consequence. The slightest error, particularly when you're converting scale drawings to the life size, the potential for error could translate into faulty parts of the ship. At best, this wastes time, but at worst, it could compromise the actual quality, stability, and operation of the ship itself.
And these pieces had to be put in place with the utmost care. Otherwise, the consequences would be catastrophic. The risk was that the ship could become unstable and tip over inside the slipway, or when launched into the water.
So when you're putting these frames in place, 66 feet tall, these are not small pieces of metal. You want to ensure that you're fitting them level to get the shape done correctly, symmetrically, but also to ensure the stability of the vessel on the slipway as you're building it.
Ships are not built to be on land. The taller the structure gets, the more its center of gravity moves, which presents a huge challenge to overcome. The hull must be kept very straight or be subject to dramatic consequences.
If a ship were to fall over during the construction process, particularly in the confines of, say, gantry, the amount of damage which it could do, quite aside from the risk to those actually working there, could have been absolutely catastrophic, not just for the ship itself, but for the gantry and for the immediate area around.
So they supported the structure of the ship with massive wooden beams to reinforce and hold the ship in place inside the slipway.
You can't point a laser, you can't just electronically make it happen. These guys with a pencil and a saw are going to have to work off the plans that they've been given by the draftsman and make sure that they have this absolutely inch perfect.
At the same time, the workers put the interior frame of the vessel into place. Hundreds of metal columns and crossbeams reinforced the hull of the Titanic.
You have to imagine it like a sort of massive grid of pillars to help the ship keep its shape. Otherwise, the hull would quickly become deformed.
It all is a process, you know, that all works together. You can't just put up the shell plates without putting internals up to hold it up.
April 1910. More than a year after the keel was laid, the structure of the Titanic's hull was finally complete. It was now ready to be covered in its metal casing. This sheen is composed of 2,000 sheets of steel. The largest measured 10 meters long by 2 meters wide, and they were an average of 3 centimeters thick. Each sheet weighed nearly 4 tons. These rectangular sheets came from the best steelworks in Ireland and Scotland.
Steel is used and tested to the highest standards of Lloyd's Classification Society to make sure that the steel is of the right quality and the right strength to use on such a large ship.
Titanic's metalwork was perfectly acceptable for the day. It was about as good as you could possibly get.
Once the sheets arrived at the Harlingen Wolff shipyard, they were sent to the workshop, where holes were drilled in them with the utmost precision. These holes were meant to be filled by the rows of rivets that would render the Titanic's hull perfectly watertight.
You have 2 metal plates overlapping each other, and they have holes in them, and you line up the holes, and then you put red-hot rods through there.
2 million wrought iron rivets were set up using the traditional method of manual riveting. This meticulous work was done by teams of hand-picked professionals whose reputation and expertise were recognized around the world. The Riveters.
Riveting gangs have a very difficult task, and as such, they are highly respected, like the leading figures in the film.
And a good riveter was worth their weight in gold. These men were paid per rivet that they put in.
The teams were often made up of 5 people. Each person had a specific role to play. Speed was key to their success. The riveters had a very narrow window, just 10 seconds to put each rivet in place on the hull before the metal would change temperature.
If it goes below the correct temperature, it won't seat properly. And by the waste of their time is not only waste materials, delayed construction.
2 years after the keel was laid, the Titanic's hull was finally complete. The upper bridges were finished. The internal structure was fully assembled. It was perfectly watertight. It was an incredible feat. There was no man-made structure like it in the world.
There was a young boy, John Parkinson, whose father worked on Titanic as a Sunday treat. He was taken down to see the new ship Titanic. And as he stood there, he looked in both directions and he could not see an end to the ship. It was just so massive, it blotted out the sky. And he asked his father, how can such a big ship stand up in the water? His father replied, son, that big ship will always stand up in the water.
Yeah.
May 31st, 1911. The Titanic's hull was about to enter the water for the first time. The cream of Belfast society and its leading personalities were invited to celebrate the event.
This guy's gonna wait? Alright, whatever. If you're down to wait, I'll
International media
steal the
outlets
money.
were on the scene to immortalize the launch of the largest ocean liner in the world.
Give me a second, homie. Give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a second.
This is a major day for Belfast. This is like a space shuttle launch. People around the world are interested.
Thank you. You're very kind.
About 100,000 people are lining the banks to watch as Titanic comes off the slipway. They've paid a shilling to do so.
It was the result of many months of work. It was a bit like the official baptism of the boat.
The launch was a moment of great tension for the designers of the ship. The Titanic was an immense shell weighing 24,000 tons. This crucial step would confirm whether or not it was built correctly, and as such, the design
going to demonstrate just how successful the future prospects of this ship are going to be, or is it going to be an embarrassment? Reputations are on the line here.
In order to prevent such a catastrophe, the operation was planned down to the last detail. First, the workers would remove the wooden blocks supporting the Titanic's hull, a delicate operation.
They had to remove the elements holding the boat in place at the last moment, and in exactly the right order, so the ship would remain stable until the last possible moment.
A poor man got his legs trapped underneath a couple of days before launch when they were knocking away the staging, and that he died from the injuries. Some people say she wasn't launched in champagne, she was launched in the blood of that man, James Dobbin.
Before it was even launched, the Titanic already had blood on its hands. A total of 17 workers died during the destruction of the biggest ocean liners of the century, 8 of them on the Titanic alone. The only things left holding the hull in place were 2 hydraulic jacks. But even though the hull rested on a slipway with an inclined floor, the engineers still had to ensure it would slide into the Logan River according to plan.
Gravity, of course, is going to do the vast majority of the work, but there's a lot of friction. So they coat the slipway with 22 tons of soap, oil and tallow. Apparently it smells disgusting, but it's just that amount of lubrication which is needed.
It was 12:13 p.m., the hour of truth. All traffic on the Logan River was about to halt. Distress flares signaled the departure. Silence fell beneath the aero gantry.
When the signal goes, the launch will take place, the hydraulic system folds back down again, and there's nothing holding Titanic back. This piece drops down, which of course is the final brake holding Titanic.
And then the weight of the ship just pushes it down. Really, the launch was, you'd hold your breath.
To come from a city like Belfast on the edge of the world, you have the biggest man that ever moved, sliding down that slipway. That is an amazing thing to get your head around.
At that point, it is the largest moving object in the world, and they know it. And so for 60 seconds, they can see the largest object moving on its own for the first time.
Hell yeah! Got it. Hey, just keep cash and say
The launch went exactly according to plan, as hundreds of people looked on in fascination. The hull reached a speed of 12 knots, a danger in itself.
If you're going to launch a 24,000-ton ship, as it was at that point, into the river, you have to make sure that you can stop her. Otherwise, she's just going to float into the other bank.
They had to take measures to ensure the boat would not move too far forward as it entered the water. They decided to use 80 tons of chains and anchors to hold the Titanic back and slow its entry into the water.
They are so successful that from completely on land to completely in water, Titanic only moves twice her length. This was the way that they were able to control this elsewise completely uncontrollable event.
Hey, it's me.
The saying
That was a lucrative effort.
if a ship can
This is a
survive
solid-
its launch, it'll survive anything.
At this point, she is completed as a piece of naval architecture, but there is now the change between converting an ocean-going shell into a floating city.
In June 1911, the hull of the Titanic was taken to Harland & Wolff's fitting out quay. Built specially for these 3 ships, it was the largest in the world at the time. This is where the interior of the liner would be completed. The Titanic was supposed to be ready for its inaugural voyage just 7 months later. They were running on a very tight schedule. The designers could never have imagined the mishaps that awaited the shipyard. It all began with the integration of the heaviest parts, the beating heart of the ship, without which this giant of the ocean would remain immobile, the propelling machinery. The avant-garde technology of these engines far outweighed their competition.
The Harland and Wolff shipyard and the White Star Line decided to equip the Olympic and the Titanic with a combination of 2 different types of propelling machinery, reciprocating engines and steam turbines.
They already had turbine technology, they already had reciprocating engine technology, but to combine the 2 together was unique.
These components were made in the Harland and Wolff warehouses. They were built at the same time as the hull. They were shining examples of technology and human ingenuity.
The engines of Titanic were the largest built at the time, 4 stories tall, triple expansion, 4 cylinders.
The engines in particular are like a model kit. They're built on land, tested thoroughly to make sure that they work, and then they're subdivided into all the major components.
The most iconic elements of the Titanic were its 29 enormous furnaces. Each furnace was 5 meters high, as tall as a house, and designed to consume 600 tons of coal per day during the transatlantic journey. They were the epitome of human ingenuity, reflecting their designers' incredible skill. Making them was a challenge in itself, and installing them on the Titanic was no easier.
It was a very difficult maneuver because the parts were very, very heavy and they had to keep the balance of the ship in mind. So they proceeded with great caution.
Each furnace weighed nearly 20 tons, the equivalent of 20 cars. There was no British crane capable of lifting such a heavy load.
Man, it's got strong
That is why
potential.
the shipyards called on a German company that had perfected a machine unlike any other, the Titan crane. Capable of lifting more than 150 tons across ranges of several meters, this massive metal structure cost the modest sum of 30,000 pounds sterling at the time, the equivalent of 3 million euros in today's money.
The crane is a massive affair. It's got its own power source in order to operate the winches, the jib, all the various gear, and similarly to be able to counterweight the weight of what it's carrying.
It's floating in the water, so it has much more ability to go around the ship as needed and drop things into place.
When the furnaces arrived on the fitting out quay, the Titan crane picked them up and moved them into position for the next step. Each of the parts had to be carefully lowered into the hull through these enormous holes.
When they constructed the hull, before launch, they left large holes through all the decks so that you could lower the engines and boilers into the ship.
There is not a lot of spare room. And so you're getting them into position, hand signals, passing messages backwards and forwards. Eventually they get down into the boiler rooms. Of course, you then have to move them into position.
They had to use incredible precision when operating the crane. They also had to take into account the winds that were pushing the boat around, making the maneuver even more complicated. The risk was that they might damage the interior structure when lowering these monumental parts into place.
You have a huge amount of skill and brute force needed to make sure that they go in just the right place, because there is no room for any error at all.
Once the parts had been lowered into the hold, a new challenge awaited the workers. These parts, each weighing several dozen tons, had to be put into exactly the right place in predefined positions in a very precise order. This rigorous positioning process had a direct impact on the balance of the ship. The designers of the Titanic had planned for a crane to be built inside the ship to move these gigantic parts around.
A small hand crane, mostly intended for maintenance during the operation of the vessel. But ultimately, between that and brute force, you're then piecing the engine back together again and linking it up with the rest of the infrastructure of the ship.
At the same
There are a
time,
couple
many
things
other
we'll need in
professionals
order to
were hard at work fitting
solidify
out
my
the
current
interior of the
infiltration
ocean liner.
plan.
Plumbers,
Let's move.
electricians, and carpenters all did their part to turn the Titanic into a floating palace.
On the outside, you're finishing off the superstructure, but inside, you're now making it habitable. You're putting in all of the fixtures and fittings, which are turning what is in essence just a metal box into the luxurious accommodation to rival anywhere on land.
Nearly 2.5 years after construction had begun of the Titanic, it was finally time for the moment everyone had been waiting for. The installation of the funnels. The 4 monumental cylinders were over 20 meters tall, as high as a 6-story building.
They were said to be wide enough for 2 trains to pass each other inside. So this was a massive undertaking. They were built on site, then had to be moved and lifted into place by the giant crane. The funnels also had the distinctive characteristic of being a single piece and arrived on the fitting out quay in one piece. The Titan crane, which the shipyard had bought, was used to move them directly from the quay onto the upper bridge of the boat.
The installation of the funnels was a huge technical challenge. They had to be positioned more than 20 meters above the hole specially designed for them. The smallest error could be fatal.
Hey, the worst thing that can happen is if the funnel is dropped when it is being lifted onto the ship, because that would cause enormous damage. You do not want this to go wrong.
The Olympic-class ocean liners had one very interesting distinguishing characteristic. Technically, only 3 funnels were needed to vent the smoke from the engine's furnaces. But it was out of the question for White Star's ships to have fewer funnels than the ships built by their rival, Cunard. So the designers added a 4th funnel and came up with an innovative use for it.
White Star wants to make sure it's at least on a par with its main rival. The 4th funnel, some people refer to it as a dummy funnel, but it did actually have a use. It was for ventilation, also to go down to the kitchens to let the kitchen smells away. So it's not doing nothing. It does have a very distinct purpose.
Inside the ship, the Titanic was starting to take shape. The cabins and living areas were designed around the 15 metallic dividers that spanned the hull from the keel halfway up the boat. In addition to the double bottom, the partitions were an extra safety measure in case of flooding, dividing the ocean liner into 16 completely watertight compartments.
These watertight compartments, if I start coming into one of them, it would only affect one part of the boat rather than the entire structure.
Until the Titanic, ocean liners were able to stay afloat with 1 or 2 compartments flooded. The designers of the Olympic-class liners pushed the limits to the extreme by building ships that would be
contiguous compartments damaged.
Being designed to cope with such a level of flooding without risking the ship was a remarkable achievement. Part of the reason why Titanic was known as a lifeboat in her own right. This was pushing maritime safety as far as it had ever gone before.
Possibilities to push the limits of human achievement to the point of perfection. These dividing walls were obstacles for travelers who wanted to move between compartments on the ship. To solve this problem, they developed watertight doors that used futuristic technology.
These are vertically operating watertight doors with a triple system. They can be operated manually. They can drop straight down if necessary. They're also electrically operated, so they can be closed by remote control from the bridge.
But they also had a flotation device so that if water hit them, they would close. And that way, if the power went out, they would still close in an emergency.
Let's get the guy with the laptop. This is a critical piece of
These doors, the pinnacle of human construction, could also turn out to be an Achilles heel. As a result, their design was the focus of much attention. they had to be perfectly watertight in order for the compartments to fulfill their intended function.
I just sent you a CCTV image of the guy.
If the watertight doors do not close properly, then the watertight bulkheads are effectively useless because the water can simply flood into other areas of the ship.
The efficiency of these watertight doors and dividing walls would be put to the test on September 20th, 1911, a key date in the construction of the Titanic. The Olympic, which had been in service for 3 months, was beginning its 5th transatlantic crossing from Southampton to New York. On its way out of Southampton in southern England, it came across a Royal Navy ship, the Hawke. Unfortunately, Edward Smith, the captain of the Olympic at the time and future captain of the Titanic, didn't leave the Hawke enough room, and the warship collided with the liner.
The Hawke was a cruiser designed for ramming other ships in combat, so it did a substantial amount of damage. The propeller shaft was damaged, and the Olympic had to turn back.
The collision severely damaged the hull of the ocean liner, tearing a 12-meter hole beneath the waterline. Water rushed into 2 compartments, which were cut off from the rest of the ship when the watertight doors closed in time. Fortunately, there were no passengers in this part of the ship.
It was very impressive because the ship handled the collision very well. The Hawke withstood just as much damage as the Olympic, if not more, so the incident helped prove how sturdy these massive ocean liners were.
So a legend was born. One that Harland and Wolff and White Star do very little to counter. A proposed but never released brochure reading, "So far as it is possible to